everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will be creating a BMI calculator. So if you don't know what BMI calculator is, then let me tell you. So basically it determines if you're underweight or normal weight or overweight on the basis of your weight and height. But how do we calculate it? So there is a formula for it which I'll show you at the time of coding. And with the help of that formula, we will able to calculate your BMI. Simple, right? Let me give you a quick little preview. So this is how it looks. We will write weight here as maybe 60. Then height as 160 centimeter. Then click on calculate BMI button and see there is a result as 23.44. That is considered to be as normal weight. Perfect. Now if you're already following the playlist, you might be aware that we are done with the Android Kotlin beginner series. And now we will be creating project based on that. So if you have not watched the series yet, I would highly recommend you to go through it. Link in the description box. So this is the first project of Android Kotlin beginner series. I'll be creating 3 to 4 more beginner projects to make your concepts clear. And then after that, we'll be starting with the Kotlin intermediate series. Got it? With that said, let's create our project. Choose empty views activity. Then click next. Name it as BMI calculator. And then click on OK. First, let's do the prerequisite. Go to colors.xml. Press Ctrl+D to duplicate the line. Write the color name as navy and hex code as 323B60. And done. Now go to themes.xml. Uncomment this line and write the color as navy. Then duplicate the line and write item name as color primary variant. Then again duplicate the line and write item name as Android status bar color. And that's it. Then go to build.gradle app. Here write build features, view binding, true, and then click on sync now. Till now you should be aware what is view binding. If you are still not aware about it, let me quickly tell you. So view binding directly fetch element from the root. So you don't have to initialize them every time. In simple words, you don't need to write find view by ID. Got it? Now close all the tabs. Now our complete focus is on project logic. So I am not going deep in designing part. Hence I have created one background in Canva that I will copy paste it in the drawable folder. And done. See, this is how it looks. You can create this in XML format or Jetpack Compose. Okay. This is where we will add edit text and button. Now once the prerequisite is done, let's move to activity main.xml. Clear all the text view. First, let me tell you what exactly we are going to do. So our parent layout will be linear layout, and if you want you can use constraint layout. It's totally up to you. Then inside that linear layout we will create a card view just to give that elevated look. Then inside that card view we will have a horizontal linear layout, and then inside that horizontal linear layout we will have two vertical linear layout. In each of them we will have one text view and one edit text. Then outside the card view we will have a button and text view, and that's it. I know, sounds complicated, but that is what nesting of layout is. Now let me quickly write the entire code and then I'll give you an overview. Okay. and done. See, this is our parent linear layout with the background. Then we have a card view whose radius and elevation is 8 dp. Then as I said, we will have a horizontal linear layout, and inside that we will have two vertical linear layout. So in first vertical linear layout, we have text view, that is basically like a title as weight. And then we have edit text whose ID is weight edit. So this is where user will write the weight in kgs. Similarly, in second vertical linear layout, we have text view. Again, it's like a title as height. And then we have edit text whose ID is height edit. So this is where user will write the height in centimeters. Now, outside the card view, we have a button whose ID is calculate BTN. So when the user will click on it, then only the result will be generated. Then last we have again a text view whose ID is result text. As the ID says, this is where we will display the BMI result. Got it? Simple, right? You can customize the layout according to your requirement, but make sure you write the correct IDs. Now once we are done with the activity main, let's go to MainActivity.kt. So over here, I have divided the logic in 5 steps. Let me give you a quick overview. So in first step, we will set up binding. Then in second step, we will create calculate BMI method. Then in third step, we will write the BMI formula and category. Then in fourth step, we will set the output on result text view. And then finally in the fifth step, we will call calculate BMI method inside the set on click listener. And that's it. Now let's create it. So step number 1 is to set up binding. So write private late init where binding as activity main binding. Then initialize binding as activity main binding dot inflate layout inflator. And then finally in set content view write binding dot root. So layout inflator is used to inflate the layout file that is associated with the binding class. In our case, our layout file is activity main, right? Then binding dot refers to the root view of the inflated layout, which basically includes every element in it. Got it? See, so simple, right? Now we don't even need to declare or initialize the element. All we have to do is to just write binding dot and it will display all the list of elements. Great. Now let's move to step number 2, that is to create calculate BMI method. So write private fun, that is function, calculate BMI. And inside that we will create two variables, weight and height. So let me quickly write it. And then, now as I said, I have created two variables, weight and height. So basically weight retrieves the text entered in the weight edit text. Then using toString method, it converts the text to a string, okay? And then we have used toFloat or null. So basically it converts the string to a float value. So if the conversion is successful, it returns the float value. Otherwise, it will return null. But why do we use toFloat or null method? So we use it to handle the cases where user might enter a non-numeric value or maybe an empty string. Then in that case, app usually gets crash. So to avoid that situation, we use toFloat or null method. Similarly, height returns the value from height edit text, then convert it to string and then float. Got it, right? Now, step number 3. This is where all the formula part comes. Let me write it and then I'll explain you. and done. Now see, very simple, that if weight is not equals to null, which means there is some value present in weight, and similarly if height is not equals to null, which means there is some value present in height, then in that case what we are supposed to do? If you see, I have used and, right, which means both of them has to be true. Then only we'll be able to calculate BMI. Otherwise, that is or else, it will be said as invalid. In simple words, if I have wrote weight but I have kept height as blank, then in that case it will show me an error as invalid input. Now, when both the condition is satisfied, then this is where we will do all the calculations part. So I have created two variables, BMI and BMI result. So this is BMI formula. It calculates the BMI by dividing weight by the square of the height. And why height is divided by 100? Because it converts the height from centimeter to meter. For the square, we have used POW, that is power as 2. Simple formula, right? Then BMI result formats the calculated BMI value as string with 2 decimal places. In simple words, with the help of %.2f, the output will be rounded to 2 decimal places. Like for example, 23.44. We have 2 values after decimal point, right? Because we have used %.2f. If we want 3 values after decimal point like 23.455, then we would have gone for %.3f. Got it? Then we have created another variable as BMI category. Here we have used when. It's like switch cases. So when the BMI value is less than 18.5, then it will be considered as underweight. Or if the BMI value is less than 25, then it will be considered as normal weight. Or if the BMI value is less than 30, then it will be considered as overweight. And then else, as if the BMI value is greater than 30, then it will be considered as obese. If you are not aware, then there is a BMI chart available on internet. You can check from that. Now step number 4, that is to set result on the elements. So on result text, it will show the output as BMI. Then using $sign, we will retrieve the BMI result. Then /n, that is basically to give a new line. Then on another line, we will have category. And using $sign, we have retrieved the BMI category. All of this thing just to make the result look more presentable. Then last step, that is step number 5, is to call the method inside the set on click listener. So inside the onCreate method, write binding dot calculate btn and set on click listener on it. It's like when we click on the calculate button, then what are we supposed to do? So if the user will click on the calculate button, then it will call the calculate BMI method which we created before, right? And that's it. We are done with the coding. Now let's run the app. This is how it looks. I'll write weight as 60 and height as 160. Then I'll click on calculate BMI button and see, it shows the result. So BMI is 23.44 and category as normal weight. Let me try other values as well. And it works perfectly fine. I hope with this project your basic concepts are clear. We will be creating more such projects, so stay tuned for that. So for now, that is it for the video. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing to my channel and I'll see you in the next video.